Are you up to date with the latest recommendations and when you should start solid foods? And I'm not talking about what social media says here. I'm talking the actual recommendations. Stick around to find out what they are. All right, so before we get started here, we're talking about starting solid foods with your baby. So if you want to know more, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And I've got all sorts of information on my website at newwaysnutrition.com all about starting solids. So make sure you check that out. So starting solid foods. It is apparently a bit of a debate up in social media right now about when the recommendations say that you should start solid foods. Well, all of the major pediatric World Health organizations, we're talking American Academy of Pediatrics, World Health, all of the ones in Europe, all of them say you should be starting solids around 6 months. Not 4 months, not 4 months if you're doing puree and not baby-led weaning. 6 months, period. So I know that there's some debate out there, but really it is 6 months, and here is why. So at 6 months, give or take a little bit, we're not talking it's a magic day, but around 6 months, your baby is going to start to show the developmental markers that are a safe way to start solids with them. Before these developmental markers are there, it is not safe to start solids. And then we're also talking that at 6 months, your baby is going to be socially ready to start. And why is that important? Well, if you feed a baby that is just not ready, so it's too early, you can have lots of struggles with them. And then feeding is going to be unpleasant for you and the baby. And we just do not want that. We want to foster a good relationship. So we want to avoid feeding too early and having that happen. And then the last reason that it's around 6 months is your baby's gut or their microbiome. Now, this is something that we're learning about all the time, but we do know that it's really important to their health and that we want to foster a healthy microbiome as much as we can. So waiting till around 6 months can help them have a healthier microbiome for the rest of their life, something that we're really trying to foster. So those are the reasons that we're talking around 6 months. Now, from a developmental standpoint, babies develop differently and they tend to get the signs that we're looking for in a different order. But what are the signs that show that the developmental side of our equation is ready? So the first one is that your baby can sit up unassisted. So we're not talking a bumbo propping them up, we're not talking a pillow propping them up, we're talking they can sit up unassisted. Okay, now the next sign that we're looking for is that your baby has lost their tongue extrusion. So this is when they basically stick their tongue out like when something comes towards their mouth. We want them to lose that so that food can go into their mouth. And the next one that we're looking for is that they have an interest in your food. And this one can be a little bit of a tricky one because around 4 months, developmentally, babies start to show an interest in their environment. So just because they're starting to be interested in your food does not mean that you should give them your food. It's just a piece of the puzzle, and we want them to show that interest. And then next, we also want them to be putting toys in their mouth. Again, another piece of the puzzle that shows that they're developmentally getting there. Everything should be going in their mouth, and that is helping to desensitize their mouth and get them ready to eat solids. And then last, we want them to be able to kind of get their hand where they want it to go. So if they can put their hand in their mouth, if they can get toys and put them in their mouth, again, another developmental piece of the puzzle that is helping to show that they are getting ready. Now, the most important one of these that I'm talking about is sitting up. It really is the only non-negotiable one. And that is because sitting up unassisted is going to lower the risk of choking. I think we can all agree that we want to lower that risk. We don't want our baby to choke. That's why it's so important. Your baby doesn't have to show all of the signs before you start solids, but they do have to be sitting up unassisted. And that, again, safety. Cannot stress that enough. Make sure your baby is sitting up unassisted. Now, some of these developmental signs might come before 6 months, some might come after. If most of these signs, including sitting, are not there around 6 months, then wait. Seriously, I can't stress that enough. Your baby has their whole life to eat. Trying to feed them before they're developmentally ready, trying to feed them before they're socially ready is just a recipe for a struggle for both you and your baby. And we don't want that. We really want to make sure we're optimizing their gut, their social development, their physical development, all of that, all of it needs to be in play when we're talking about starting solid foods. So make sure that you're not listening to a friend on social media, a doctor that's telling you incorrectly, any of that. It should be around 6 months for your social, developmental, and gut development of your baby to make sure that they're ready to start solids. All right, I hope you learned something. Have a good day.